Just a few minutes.
Well, I remember a teacher that I had. Now, I went through the 7th grade. I went to the 7th grade. I left home when I was 10 years old because I was hungry. And I used to, this is true. I work in the summer and I go to school in the winter. But I had this one teacher. He was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time, anyhow. He had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little old teacher. Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell. And he says, he says, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester. And it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge, dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity, allegiance, my love and my devotion to the flag, our standard, Old Glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts, freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose, and that's love for country. And to the republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people, and it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance: under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer and that would be eliminated from schools too?
All right, everybody. Hey, guess what? Ed's not going to be able to show up to the show tonight because he is currently going to his home where he normally is, and has he's going to be basically shutting down all the extra electronics they're using, like water heaters, stuff like that. No reason for electricity to be running while he's going to be gone for a few months from home. So he's on a road trip right now doing that. But we are going to have kind of an open show today, and let's get it going. Let's get this open and see what everybody's got. One of the things I do want to say ahead of time is there's a lot of fear mongering and stuff out there to make sure you don't know about the other stuff that's real. Like right now, supposedly a mayor or something like that is had a KKK picture taken or something, and now they're all going crazy over that. You had the old Indian guy that went after the young students, pounding a drum like about 6 to 8 inches away from the one young student's ear. But he walked up to that student. I mean, all this stuff, this media blow up over all this kind of stuff is not helping you find out the real stuff. When was the last time they talked about the thousands and thousands that are going to the border, trying to basically invade us? Not only that, there's been reports of like Russian soldiers that have been seen in Mexico that had just arrived. That was, I think, about a week ago. I mean, things like that we don't get to hear about. Why? Because that would actually bring the American, the 48 states populace, people, living men and women, knowing that they're in trouble. We're being invaded. We're being, our Constitution is being shredded up. Just these kind of things nobody's talking about in the mainstream media, and most of you guys are dealing with the Super Bowl shit. And it is super bullshit. It's like the gladiator games from Rome to keep the populace entertained and forget about that their life is crap because the government, the ruling party, is incompetent. Well, guess who the ruling party is? Because most of us have been brainwashed that whole time. It is the federal side of the government. It is the United States Incorporated Corporation. This is not going to be, hey, we're going to get a lot of great information. Sorry, guys, it's not going to be an information day. This is going to be a wake your asses up. Wake the hell up and realize you're screwed unless you take controlling action over your own life. I'm not saying go out and do not saying go do physical violence or anything like that, but get ready for it because it's most likely going to come. I'm not saying go out and overthrow the government, the federal side of government, because we can't overthrow ourselves as government. But what we can do is get the stupid people to actually maybe get a few brain cells, get them away from watching the Packers or the Browns or the Patriots or whatever. Get them away from watching all these stupid sports that is designed. And it's been proven that even the football, what everybody loves, is scripted. You know how wrestling's scripted? Guess what? Football is too. All of it's scripted to keep you interested so that you do not start researching and finding out what's really happening. It's keep you the blinders on you, as my wife would say. So I'm going to open up the floor and see what everybody else has got to say about that.
All participants are
All
unmuted.
right. Talk, people.
Hey, Lynx.
Yes.
It was funny because even Nancy Pelosi's daughter was going around asking all the congressmen and senators about the news media. And they said that a lot of it was just for show, just for entertainment. The news is not telling you the real truth because they're like, they literally said it was on an HBO show saying that, no, that's not how it really went down. They even admit that what Trump is saying, they literally do. They twist the awards and they make it so they can have higher ratings. And these are coming from the people that are senators and congressmen that are telling people, yeah, the news is just up for entertainment. It's not telling you everything. It's just boosting or it's trying to start trouble so that you can say, oh my goodness, they did that, they said that. Oh no, it's for entertainment. That's all it is. And so people really need to comprehend what they're looking at when they watch this boob tube, because that's exactly what it is. You got to be a total moron to believe everything that you see on there. I mean, the news is not real. I've seen even the Weather Channel get on board with this, where they make it sound like, oh my goodness, the hurricane is blowing so hard, and you see two guys walking behind the reporter. I mean, really? So if you can't really trust on what you're seeing and hearing from these people, then maybe you should turn that off. Because I mean, the games that they're all rigged just so it gets you, I don't know, get your excitement going. The news, they're always trying to scare you all day long.
Basically,
and I guess
it's just creating drama all around you, so you're distracted from the real issues that are happening.
yeah, basically. I mean, in a nutshell, that's basically all they're doing the whole time. It's just totally distracting you, telling you lies.
I think it's the Oscar awards for actors or the Oscars. Why the hell isn't some of these news reporters in there? Because seriously, they some of their acting is amazing.
Oh, I know, and even that's rigged. It's rigged where it's just how much a person will donate or pay so they can get an award. I mean, even that's rigged. The whole system is just a bunch of crap.
Sorry, boy in the background deciding he's gonna cry big time. He had some metal needle that from a carpet that now we got another. See, this is why I usually keep quiet during the Ed shows because I got this happening in the background regularly. You want to talk about distraction? Become a parent.
That means having more than one child.
Yeah, even one will distract you quite a bit. But
Yeah, but it's not as challenging.
no, not as challenging, and you get to keep some semblance of sanity. Once you have two, forget it. But okay, here's the thing. I've been listening to the United Constitutional Patriots. Okay, they're actually really good. They keep you really up to date, and vet they vet their information before they start talking about it. Or if they haven't vetted it yet, they'll let you know it's not vetted yet, and they're working on it. 2 years ago, actually more than 2 years ago, quite a few years ago, I had my own show going. One of the things I talked about was known as HEK 293. Now, HEK stands for Human Embryonic Kidneys. That's taken from a 14-week-old male white fetus. It's the liver or the kidney from it, and they use that as flavor enhancers. And a lot of the bigger companies use that to make you like their food a lot more. Guess what? United Constitutional Patriots just yesterday finally realized that was happening. My wife and I have not been having any of those major companies that use it. Anytime we see those companies, we just walk the other way. Sobeys part of it, Pepsi's part of it, Coca-Cola's part of it. Most of the sodas you drink are bad for you, not only in that way, but you honestly think these corporations will keep their production facilities spick and span and clean. I mean, peanut butter, a certain amount of feces and bug matter is acceptable by the FDA's approval. A certain percentage is acceptable to be in the peanut butter. Excuse me? That's why my wife and I basically cook most of our own food. We know where it's from. We know what's in it. So, but there's so many issues out there, like these people out there, like abortion. I mean, now, I am pro-life. I am pro-choice. Both of them at the same time. But when you say before the umbilical cord is cut, you can still abort it. Excuse me? Up to 9 months, then you can abort it. Now, if it's a life or death situation with the mother, yes. But if it's just somebody's like, you know what, I don't want to deal with this anymore, I'm sorry. How about just pop the kid out or cut the kid out and put it up for adoption? If you don't want to deal with it, there you go. Why kill it? Oh, that's right. To add to the nice little flavor enhancers or the extra meat in the McDonald's patties and stuff like that. They found children DNA in the meat. Human child DNA in McDonald's meat. Yet most people are still running out there going to McDonald's. Why? Because the wizard's first rule. People are stupid. Now, I'll shut up. What do you guys got to say about all that?
I say that people still think that's a conspiracy theory because just like with the shots, until you can start showing that it's actually in it and that the government actually is trying to kill your kids, it's a conspiracy theory. Me, I do believe it. I've seen it. And with the FDA and CDC admitting all these drugs that are in, or all the chemicals in the shots, yeah, I believe that they would do that to children too, because I've seen videos of bulls and cows that they have enhanced, trying to make more food for people and all this stuff, because people are, as you know, America wastes the most food. So, and there's people still starving. And this earth produces enough food for everybody, but it's all about how much money someone can put in their back pocket and skim it off of others while they suffer.
Well, here's a good question. Something that most people probably haven't realized. All right, we've got the illegals trying to come into America and Trump trying to build the wall. No, not trying to build a wall. He is building a wall. There's evidently like petty cash for the government or something like that, the federal government, that he is using to build wall already right now. It's being built. But the thing is, okay, we got all these illegal immigrants trying to come in. And everybody's talking about how they got diseases and stuff. Guess what? What if it is Big Pharma trying to bring in diseases that we haven't dealt with here in the 48 states for like 2 or 3 generations? They're trying to bring all those back in, so there's more shots that the Big Pharma can offer to immunize you or to heal you from these diseases that are not part around, that are not here now. What if they're part of the funding? Oh, that's right. George Soros is part of Big Pharma, right?
Yes.
Doesn't that make sense?
Yeah, makes a lot of complete sense, but people still don't want to face the fact that it's the truth. They just can't believe that our government would actually do that to us. Yes, they've been running tests on us. I mean, well before a lot of people were even born. I mean, heck, they were doing it in the 40s and 50s,
Yep.
running tests on us and everything.
1950s, there was sound wave testing, chemical testing on actual towns here in the United States, the 48 states. They were doing that back in the 40s and 50s. Anybody pay attention to that? No. Our federal government wouldn't do that. Oh wait, that's right, because they've been what when oh I think it was the 1930s. They actually federalized our education system so they could feed us lies and make us stupid. That's why Ed is so focused on do your research, find out the truth, find out what they're doing, and put a stop to them yourself. I mean, there is a list out there for all the police officers or policy officers, for for all of the corporation bigwigs. It is known as a do not detain list. You get yourself on that list. If a police officer pulls you over, they see that you're not on that you are on the do not detain list, they walk away unless if it's an actual crime, property damage or a victim. Other than that, they leave you alone completely because you are not part of their property. Therefore, if they go after you, they're in huge trouble. That's my goal. That's what I'm trying to get me and my family all into. And I'm not just talking my immediate family. I'm going to try to get my brother-in-laws, my sister-in-law, my brother and his wife. I mean, I'm trying to get it to where, in a way, will be like a plague. Start out a few, and then multiply, and sooner or later, federal corporation has no one they can screw with, except the slaves that enjoy being slaves.
I guess people have forgotten what it's like to really, really actually be free.
Tell me a time when anybody alive has actually been free.
Not right now.
You can't. They're all dead now.
Exactly. I mean, the founding fathers themselves, they had to fight for their freedom and for ours. There would have been a lot more founding fathers, but a lot of them died, and they're not mentioned because they weren't part of the end process. But think about it. For every one founding father, there was probably 3 or 4 others that could have been part of that process. But they actually put their lives on the line and sacrificed their lives to give us the freedom that most of these libturds, most of these Democrats are trying to throw away. Now, I will admit that the Democrats, most of those who are part of the Democratic Party, are just sheeple. They're too stupid to realize that they're actually against America. Right? You look in the Constitution. It talks about giving us a republic form of government. The hold on, got some fries. The Pledge of Allegiance. I mean that kind of stuff. Go ahead and give your opinion on that real quick, Brister.
About the Republic, I think we need to get rid of their treaty. They violated the treaty to the United States. They violated treaties to the Indians. They violated treaties to everybody. To me, we should retaliate and kick these people out. I mean, not only the illegals, but then these people also, because they're supposed to be, what do you call it? They're supposed to be signed up under the FAR Act of 1938. They can't even follow that law, but they're going to tell us we're breaking laws.
Well, you look at it. What is an actual law?
Well, it's something that you hold people to a certain standard.
I'm looking up definition of law right now. Law. A binding custom or practice of a community, a rule of conduct or action prescribed or prescribed or formally recognized as binding or enforced by a controlling authority. Now you look at that, and you know what? The controlling authority would be the Constitution here in the 48 states. That is law. Anything that the Constitution puts out, before it became a corporation, before the corporation took over, that Constitution was law. It is the law of the land. But statute, code, administrative rule, ordinance, those are not laws. Those are corporation rules. If you're part of the corporate body, they apply to you. If you're not, like Ed says, it's like you walking into Walmart and they're trying to dictate their rules on you. It doesn't work.
May I?
Go ahead.
May I? On the same law, that's why the corporations have to have a thing called risk management insurance. That's why years ago, I took 3 people and we went in. I had an appointment with risk management insurance. And my question to Mr. White was, are the Oregon revised statutes insured or bonded? Because they're just statutes. So because they're not law, they have to be insured or bonded. Well, what Mr. White came back with is, well, they're not insured or bonded, and there ain't an insurance company in the world that's going to insure an illegal bunch of statutes. So that's why we have risk management insurance. If a corporate state employee violates the law, then the risk management insurance will take care of it. And risk management is a pool of insurance companies. At that time, I think Mr. White said there was like 12 insurance companies that pooled the money. So it was like they put, I don't know how many millions into the fund, but each insurance company would put so much money into the fund. And if it had to be dealt with, they lose a case, then it doesn't cost one insurance company, and I'll say $10 million. It could only cost each insurance company maybe $800,000. Big difference. So he made it very clear that the Oregon revised statutes that everyone falls under in Oregon, been enforced against everyone for everything, that they're not insured or bonded. They're just statutes. They're illegal. And he was the head of risk management insurance. Mr. White says, they're illegal. And he said, don't make your claims too high, and we'll just pay them. So if you get stopped for traveling without a license, don't make your claim too high, and they'll just pay them. It's very interesting.
There was an video I watched of this one guy, and it was just somebody reposted, but this one guy was talking about the right to travel, and he had him on the ropes. He had him on the ropes. They kind of paused for a bit, and they handled a few other files and stuff during that time, and he he said yes, he wants to actually go to an Article 3 court. Actually go to the court over this. You know what happened? The prosecuting attorney came back after about 15-20 minutes and said he just got off the phone with the officer that had given all these tickets out. They said that the officer clearly remembers giving those tickets, clearly remembers those instances, but cannot clearly state that that was the man that he gave those tickets to. So they threw everything out. Do you know why they did that?
Yeah, it's called money.
Right. The thing is, they threw it out because the police officer, this is their reasoning, the police officer said he couldn't remember if that was the living man that he gave the tickets to. He couldn't.
Well, of course.
But the real
You got to
reason
be able
they threw
to
it
prove.
out is because he had a huge case against it. And if it would have went to court, they would have lost, and there would have been precedents right there, a court case won that stated freedom of travel. And that's how they do it. They won't take it all the way to court. Me, if I have to deal with any legal issue in the future, I'm taking it to a federal court. Because these courts here in the states, in each one of these states, they are not even real courts. They're dog and pony shows. They're there to take your money from you, to make you feel like you're being controlled, to make you toe the line because you don't want to go to them. No, take them to the federal courts and have them prove that what they're trying to get you to pay for, what they're trying to get you to do, is within the Constitution. If it's not within the Constitution, it has no strength at all. Sorry. And my wife was telling me that Ed posted a thing that the Supreme Court ruled that any oath taken on the Bible is unbinding. It is unlawful. So, plus, I mean, that's kind of
Well, what?
forcing.
All stop. May I?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue that, but what binds the oath? You know, there's all kinds of these officers that take an oath. I've had them on the witness stand before and lie like heck. So, and they take the oath, not on the Bible. They just take an oath right in front of the jury or the in front of the judge, and then they turn around and lie. You can catch them in lies. They don't care. They don't enforce nothing. When's the last time you ever seen someone get sued or thrown in prison or jail on the oath issue? So where's, you know, if a judge takes an oath to support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state, okay, that's the supreme law of the land. Why isn't he going to jail when he enforces codes and statutes?
And that's the big issue right there. But, you know, even if it's on, I mean, why have the Bible? Why not have the latest issue of X-Men? Why not have 50 Shades of Grey? Take your oath on all that, because it's just words on a paper. Now, if you take it on the Constitution, I would consider that binding. And if you lie on that, I would consider that treason and, well, death penalty for treason.
But still, take an oath and get a copy of it. Many judges oath is that they will swear or affirm to support or uphold the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Washington or Idaho or Oregon, whatever state it's in. I've got hundreds and hundreds of oaths from them. So they take that oath. You go into court, and, they don't care that they took that oath. People go into court and they process the case under some codified law or statutized law. They're not processing the case under the Constitution. If they did, you wouldn't even be in court. And most of the people, 90% of the time, would never go to court.
I'm going to tell you something. This is Southern. I can answer that whole oath thing for you, but I'm not going to do it right now because I want Ed on this call because I'm working on something and I've made him aware of it. And I want him on this call when I expose this. But I can answer that oath thing for you, what's going on with the oaths, why nobody's honoring their oaths. And it's going to become an issue here real shortly.
Well, good. I'll be glad when you do, Southern. Good for you.
All right. I'll tell you another secret. If you look in your statutes in your state, and I do know that somewhere in Oregon it is, okay, in California and everywhere else, it clearly tells you that you need to be bonded by a licensed, active bonding agent. So when these people tell you, oh, I'm self-bonded, self-insured, whoops, you got a problem. Because if you ain't got a bond, then your oath is no good. You can trash the oath. That means you're not a public officer. That means you have no right to be taking public revenue. And you can look it up in your state. It's there.
Right. It's in Oregon. It's you got to be insured and bonded.
No. You got to be bonded and insured by an active agency. Okay, you can't have your own bond and your own insurance. You must be insured and bonded by someone other than yourself.
In Oregon, it's called risk management insurance. In Idaho, it's called risk management insurance. I know flat out because I've helped people. I've won their cases, wham bang, over that issue. I even won it with the BLM, Bureau of Land Management, OSHA, and other agencies over the many years.
I agree, but most of these clowns out here will tell you that they're self-bonded, self-insured. And I called up the insurance commissioner of insurance in the state of Florida. He told me flat out, there's no such thing.
That's right.
He said, no, there's no such thing. He said, anybody tells you that in this state? He said, they're acting illegally. Now, that's the courts. That includes your courts. But they try that crap too.
Well, you got to know the name of their insurance company and their bond number. I know. I've once had a situation where I needed to get the name of the insurance company and the bond number for every federal government employee on a certain situation. Case dismissed. We decided everything you're doing is just fine. That told me they didn't have any lawful insurance. They weren't insured or bonded.
No, they're not.
That's right.
That's like we had a case down here where this person went to court and he got the cop right in front of everybody in the courtroom, and he said, "Sir, are you a law enforcement officer?" He said, "Yes, I am. You see my badge? And you work for so and so police department, correct, sir?" "Yeah." He said, "Would you kindly read this?" He said, "to the court, please." He handed him a thing from the state Secretary of Agriculture Consumer Affairs at Licensed All Corporations. The guy looked at it, he read it, he looked up at him with fear in his eyes. And he goes, "Well, sir, would you kindly read that to the court, please?" And the guy said, "No," and he started stuttering. He said, "What is that?" He said the fact that a private 501c corporation is actively operating out of that address. He said the building that says police on it. He said that's a 501c. He said right there's the paperwork on it.
Yep, non-profit corporation.
Yeah, non-profit corporation.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It was actually a athletic children's some of the athletic club.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the judge he looked at the cop and he looked over at Mark and he didn't know what to say. And the suit started babbling. Well, he's a law enforcement officer. He said, no, he's not. He said, not according to this state, he's not. He said, he doesn't have a bond. He said, we checked that. He doesn't have the insurance. All right, we checked that. He said, he doesn't have an oath on file with the Secretary of State. Oh, my oath is on file with the police department. Thank you very much, buddy. He said, if it ain't on file with the Secretary of State, that secretary told me you don't have one. And the judge all of a sudden ran out of time and had to go to lunch.
Yep. Case dismissed.
They don't want to hear this stuff.
Well, of course not. Mm-hmm.
I know a guy that the judge told one time, he said, that doesn't matter. He looked at him and said, really? He said, this man standing here is impersonating a police officer. If you want to really get him, huh? Ask him, is he a constitutional law enforcement officer?
As far as I know, the only Constitution enforcement law officers are the marshals. Anybody else?
No, incorrect. Incorrect.
Anybody else would be.
Read your state constitution. U.S. Marshals are corporate. Read your state constitution. Go into your executive branch of government and look who the good governor has to call for to enforce the laws of that state. That's a constitutional law enforcement officer. And that man standing there is not one.
Okay. And I want to remind everybody who's listening to this later on, we're not lawyers, we're not attorneys, we do not give legal or lawful advice. We just give you information that you use for your own liability. You take responsibility for your own actions. We do not take responsibility for anything you do with the information we give. Each one of these things are information that is either opinions or research done by the individuals who are talking, the living men and women who are talking. But we do not take any responsibility for any actions you take with this information. Have to put this disclaimer in because otherwise somebody's going to come up and say, oh, you told me to do this and now I'm spending 5 years in prison. Well, you suck. They have convoluted it so much to where basically you don't know what is lawful, what is legal, what is actually supposed to happen and what's really happening, because that's what they want. How does the slaves or the servants become the masters? By convincing the masters that the slaves or servants are actually doing them a favor in taking their wife from them, taking the extra profits and all that stuff. That's how they do it. They've been doing it and confusing the hell out of the lawful bloodline Americans for generations now. To me, that's a very British thing to do. And that's exactly where it comes from, too, in my opinion. But we have been here for about 45 minutes. Anybody got anything to say before I shut the show down?
Well, Happy New Year to everyone. That's it.
Have a good one.
All right, with that, I'll close it saying it's Saturday, this February 2nd, 2019. It's currently 5:46 Pacific Standard Time, p.m. And for all of you who are out there rooting for whatever teams are doing this stupid bowl, think about it. During that time that you are so big on spending all that money on the Cheetos and Fritos that have baby sales in it, and getting fat and drinking all that beer to make you even more stupid, and watching a whole bunch of males in really tight pants running around. One, why are you staring at their asses so damn hard? And two, why is it interesting to watch them do it whenever it's scripted? And three, are you really that stupid that you let them decide, let the corporation decide that you are just going to watch and spend all those billions on their bullshit? That's why I call it the super bullshit. So, with that, guys, I'm going to close it, and thank you all for coming. And tomorrow, hopefully, we'll have Ed. If not, we'll probably have another little quick show. Remember, also, democracy. 2 wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner. Wonder how that's going to go.